Hello there, what are you expecting today? Because whatever you expect, that's exactly what you're going to receive. In the previous video, I talked about how can you find out if your partner is a good receiver. Now that applied to women, but you can also use the video, and if you're a man, that applies to you as well. So how can you make sure that your partner is receiving the image? First of all, when you have an imaginal act, and you interact with your partner in your imaginal act, and you have a conversation, or you think about him and her, or you and her, or you and him, most likely that is how you can tell if they're picking up your images or not. Just having to say, oh, I want to have a watermelon, but you're not immediately connecting with him or her, and they're not bringing you the watermelon, that does not mean that they are not a good receiver. To be a good receiver is to put out an image of an interaction between you and them. Now, in this moment, when you do this, and they're not responding, which means they're not changing or conforming, they are, I wouldn't say hard of hearing, but that means they're not vibrating on the same frequency as you. That's what it means. If they're not bringing you the image back, the image you're sending out of you and them, you and him, you and her, and they're not bringing that image back, that means they're not vibrating with you wholeheartedly. They're not there. Now, I spoke in the previous video and I said, if you just speak from the mouth, that's your first nature, to immediately ask for what you want. The second nature says, I'm going to think and imagine and then speak, because this is the power of alignment. And so if you immediately go and ask for something in a verbal way, they're going to feel as if, oh, you're telling me that I'm not attentive enough to you, that I'm not good enough, that I know my partner used to say that. And so I had to realize that our first nature is to instinctively react. Can I have this? Come out of a place of not having it. But when you stop and think and imagine, and you see the interaction of him or her giving something to you, a massage, a gift, or whatever it is, a word of appreciation, you're actually creating the end from the beginning. You're creating everything you want to see in reality. So to make sure that you don't confuse or you don't get troubled when it comes to your relationship, and you're walking out of a relationship that could have been the best relationship ever, understand that in your imaginal act, you must see that partner. You must hear them and see them as you would like to hear and see them without. In that way, when they come back, or when they say that, or when they do that, you know they're vibrating on the same frequency. You know that they're thinking about you. You know that you are in their mind. You know that you are in their heart. This is how I recognize if somebody truly has a heart open for me. Now, I have been in relationships that I have broken away from, where I was broken from, and it was an ex-SP that came back. And it was interesting because as I was preparing to go, let's say, and go out and have lunch or dinner, I would imagine a type of conversation or something that I would like. And it was interesting because they would give it to me. And I understood in that moment that, oh, wow, they are a good receiver. Their heart is open for me, even though we've broken up 3-4 years ago. And now we're just meeting up and we're having dinner. Now, that was a clue for me as a woman intuitively to know and say, his heart is open for me. He may say one thing, but I know his heart is open for me. Okay? So if this is someone that you want to continue to have a relationship with, this is how, once again, you can gauge by and go, oh, that's interesting. So let's say that you want to go and have a date with your SP. I would not go out unless I would have an imaginal act. You want to see where they're vibrating. What are they thinking about? And if you want to know what they're thinking about, then, and where their heart is at, create an imaginal act before you go into your date and see what happens. If they're a good receiver, that means their heart is open, because nobody receives an image unless their heart is open, right? So this is how I encourage you to create the image and make sure that they're receiving it. You must see them in the imaginal act. And if you're going to date an SP, then don't leave the house without creating an imaginal act. It's not enough just to bring them in, because they could come in and they could feel good just by seeing you. As you all know, men will go into places when they're not, they don't have anything else to do. Now, if you've been working on bringing your SP back, then yes, this is what I'm talking about. But what if you have not been working on bringing your SP back, and all of a sudden that SP comes back and you say, oh, okay, I'm just going to go. I kind of liked him before. I kind of liked her before. I'm just going to go out to lunch and dinner. Then why not play with this and put out an imaginal act and see, test them and see where they're at. It's not about testing you. It's not about testing your power. But what if this is the relationship you're supposed to be in? So why not have fun? See if they're a good receiver. Maybe you want to test and say, well, I don't know if they loved me. I know that they left me 5 years ago, and I never knew if they loved me or not. This is a good time to know. You see, when I was invited out by an SP that I dated 3 years ago, and he invited me out, I've asked the question and I said, did you ever love me? And he said, yes. But you know what? That would have been good enough. However, before I went into the date, I've imagined something, them giving me something, and they did. And so that was proof to me. It's not enough for a person to say, yes, I love you, right? You want to see the proof. And that's what I'm talking about. When you go out on a date with an SP, even though you have had your mental diet and everything, test it, right? Test something, and you want to see it right away in that date. Or if you haven't worked on this SP and out of the blue this guy comes or this woman comes, test it. You're going to see their heart. You're going to see if they're willing and if they're open. That means they're ready. They came in your life with a purpose, and you want to know that purpose, okay, before you go into the dating scene. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I'm going to drop the link of my program, Manifest Without Money. Please come in at any time. It is up to you. If you don't feel like you need a consistent program to be plugged in so you can manifest more than enough, so you can manifest big things. We're not here to play with our lives. We don't have the time to mingle with small things. We just want to create a lifestyle. And lifestyle refers to the style of speech, because life is in the tongue. So you want to develop a way of speaking that comes from the inner image at all times. So we don't want to go in and out of relationships, in and out of money, in and out of homes, in and out of jobs, and up and down on our health. We want to build the ideal images so we can start living a harmonious, peaceful, loving, and joyful life. So if that is your intent, if that is your, it feels at your heart that, you know what, I just want to manifest a lifestyle. I don't just want to tempt and temper with manifestation. I just want to keep manifesting an abundant, harmonious life now and for the rest of my life, then I would encourage you to come within the program. So thank you so much for being here. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button for when I put out these videos. And I will see you in the next video. Bye now.